Okay, I think we are live, which is very exciting. I'm in my room right now. I have decided to stream my creation of assignment three, just to make sure, just to provide some transparency in the process, to add some layers to my thinking. It is a bit late on Monday, but yeah, I'm excited to delve into this. Yeah, should be good. I don't think I have to redo all of the assignment. I think it's just selected portions. Um, I have not come up with anything yet. I do have an idea for another survey I want to do, though. It centers around reading in college, mainly because I've been reading a lot lately. I read There by Tommy Orange, which was excellent. I read Regarding the Pain of Others by Susan Sontag, which was really good. She writes a lot about like photography and the image, and this was a great example of that. I'm currently reading right now. I'm reading. I just finished Tina Fey's memoir. That was delightful. I love 30 Rock. I'm currently reading by Angela Davis, Our Prison's Obsolete, which is super good. I read Just Mercy over the summer. I'm also, for my fiction right now, my books over here. I'm reading Murakami. Um, this is really just an excuse for me to talk about books for a little bit, which I always really appreciate. But anyways, I'm about halfway through Norwegian Wood, which is fun. It's a good romp. I don't. It's what I've heard from what I've heard. It's not the best Murakami, but it's like a good place to start. I also checked out the library Kafka on the Shore. So that if I enjoy Norwegian Wood, which I am, it's pretty great so far, or at least good enough to capture my attention. Then I'll probably keep reading there. And then I found at a used bookstore the other day this collection of Kurt Vonnegut speeches, of graduation speeches, called "If This Isn't Nice, What Is." And so this is also nice. I need a new I like to read. Oh, look at this! Oh, I even have the. Oh my God, that was so kind of them. I love it when bookstores put a little bookmark in the book, because then you get a bookmark, and that's great. Because if it's hardcover, I just like using the little things, but. This is excellent. I'm so excited for this. I like to have one shorter book or a few shorter books I read alongside longer books, and like one fiction book that I read alongside nonfiction books. One of my favorite books is a book. This is gonna get a little derailed, but I get distracted pretty easily. One of my favorite, I guess not really books, is This Is Water by David Foster Wallace. It's a graduation speech he gave at Kenyon College, and so that is to say, I like reading graduation speeches, especially when they're well done. And so I'm excited for this. It also comes recommended to me by a friend. So I am very excited for that. So that is all to say. Now that I've obsessed over books, I'm actually interested in asking college students about their reading habits. Because like I said, I guess I didn't say this, but I didn't read like at all last year. I think I read two books, and one of them was for school, and one of them was for fun. Well, they were both pretty fun, but one of them was for pleasure and one of them was just for work. Let me put this down here and move my little thing to the side of the screen so now you can see this. Yeah. So I'd like to write a survey question about this. I'm gonna write this. I just opened a new Google Doc thing. So that's fun. I'll do assignment 3 survey design books. I wanted to do this survey now in Google Docs, so as opposed to Forms, just so we have also more detailed tracking here too. I suppose if I also screen record, that reduces any sort of information asymmetries. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm not sure if I'm able to reuse the questions that I think are fit, even though I think in the first survey, I asked about grade and I asked about gender, and I feel like those might be relevant questions to ask here, but I'll try to avoid those just for the sake of completeness. Hypothesis and survey parts of the assignment. That's parts 1 and 3. So. 1 and 3. Okay, excellent. Well, we will do that. Here we go. Assignment 3, survey design. I should have gotten water before I sat down. I suppose that's one of the follies of trying to do this in one fell swoop. But I'm gonna go get water. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get my water bottle. Okay, I am back with water. Anyways, my assumption is that the actual minutia of this might be rather boring. I'll try to talk through it, partially for my own sanity. I really enjoy talking through my thoughts, and hopefully partially for yours. I guess the assumption here is that it's just to increase trust and assurance, in the process, but. I guess, if you're watching this play by play, I can lend a little more insight into my thinking, which hopefully will help me think through the process. Before I even jump in here, I started doing this with some other classes too. Not because of any, integrity concerns, but just because it's actually really nice to talk through your process. I think I'm a really verbal learner. Whenever for instance, I'm in an intermediate macro class right now for econ, and I don't get a lot out of lectures. So what I end up doing is I have the decks. They send the decks out, and I pretend like I myself am presenting the decks. And this is actually really great because I think there's been research that shows that if you can, first of all, if you can explain something, I think that's a pretty good indication that you know it. And secondly, I think the memory parts of your brain are really closely linked to the sort of auditory or verbal parts. So I've been trying to do that more. I've been trying to do more work out loud is what I'm saying. And I think it's been, generally pretty helpful. So here we are. Oh, political affiliation. That could be a good one. It could be a good one to ask about too. I don't know if Republicans or liberals read more books. My guess is there's no correlation there, so we'll see. I think I should divide it into just generally thinking through my thinking. There should be like an identity section, and there should be like a reading section. And the identity section will probably be like 2 or 3 questions, and the reading section will be the other 7 or 8. For reading, I think probably the most straightforward question would be something like, how many books you read in the past? Is my screen down? Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Past year for pleasure. I don't really like the term for pleasure, but I might change that. Let me do what is it called when you're just doing it for your own for your own enjoyment? What is that? Whatever, I can go through and get that in a second. None, I think, is a good answer. And then for spacing this out, I'd say like 1 through 5 books, 5 through 10 books, and then 10 through 15 books, and then 15 plus books. Actually, I don't love this, because if I were to think of what a moderate reader might look like, there's someone who doesn't read, and there's someone who's a light reader. That's kind of like what I was for most of my life, which was Yeah, under 5 books per year. I'd say a moderate reader would read maybe 5 to 10, and then I think there's another level of like 10 through 20, and then there's like 20 plus. So that's exciting. That makes sense to me. Um, Let me bold this. I don't love this term for pleasure, so maybe I'll just tag that and we can get back to that later. Um, and then I think so. I want two different metrics of frequency because maybe someone can't recall. I track all my books on Goodreads, by the way, which I love. I think well, I have my issues with Goodreads as a platform, but I just like the act of like tracking all my books, especially because a lot of these are library books. You can see a little slip in it, so they're gonna go back. So I like some outlet of being able to track my books. Um, so I'd say like maybe rephrasing it. How frequently do you read for pleasure? I still don't like that term. We'll figure it out. So I'd say this is, I think, a pretty standard scale of like, well, there's daily, can't do more than daily. And then a few times per week, a few times per month. And then like when you do read, maybe something like how, we'll work on the scales later. I can just get like a bunch of ideas out now. When you do read, how long, that's, I think, interesting. Maybe something like how many books. Oh, a friend of mine just texted me. I wonder if this automatically mutes my text. I don't know, because a friend of mine asked me for a location. Um, hmm. Seeing if there's anything about. Oh, there's like transitions and stuff. I haven't played around with this that much. I feel like it would be really cool though. Um, anyways. Um, how many books do you read for school? And then maybe like genre preferences, so fiction or nonfiction. Not sure what that is. Favorite book makes sense. Ooh, like maybe like physical or digital. Maybe I can, instead of this explanation of for pleasure, maybe I can just have like a disclaimer at the beginning, which is like, this survey looks at your proclivity to reading just in your own spare time or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. On the identity section, I'm trying to get at variables that might impact free time, because usually the general thing I hear when I tell people or when I talk to people about reading is, this is a wild cover. Wow. I also like that both of these books. Sorry. Oh, that's crazy. I like that both of these books credit him as the author of the Wind Up Bird Chronicles. Or the Wind Up Bird. None of them like credits him as the author as of like the other book, even though I think like both of those are more famous. Whatever. Um, Anyways, I'm trying to get at like free time, like things that might impact your free time um, in college. So, things that might impact your free time are like job, club involvement, perhaps, um, like workload. I would love to get a question that's like, which primary field of study. Are there any colleges that don't have majors? I think they all have majors. I, for this, there could be like STEM. That's probably not the first one. Maybe like social science, humanities, business, engineering, or CS, art. What majors are there at WashU? Wow, what the? Oh, maybe like pre-med? Pre-medicine? The problem with this is that I feel like sometimes this will be a little too broad, you know? Um, Maybe what I could do, because I guess what I'm getting at here, right, is um, it's a time metric, right? It's a workload metric. So maybe I can just do something as simple as like, are you pre-med or not? Is that short for pre-medicine? Because I've only ever heard it referred to as pre-med. Um, it's designed to cover all the science and laboratory requirements. Oh yeah, pre-medical. I've never heard anyone refer to it as pre-medical. I guess that makes sense though. Like that makes a lot of sense. um, okay, yeah. Let's restructure this and just say, are you on a pre-medical track at your institution? And the answer is yes or no. And let's also do a few more that gets up like workload. So like job, like do you work a job during, let's say, alongside classes? And so the general thinking here is, well, no, and then let's do like yes, like part-time, and like yes, full-time. Yeah, the general thinking here is both of these questions get at how much free time you have. Um, okay, cool. I think even though I don't love it, I don't know why. I don't know why that annoys me. But I think we're going to keep. How many books have you? Because I think everyone knows what I mean when I say like, how many books have you read in the past year? Oh. So IE would be the correct one here. Let's stop highlighting this. How many books have you read? I actually want to put this one first. Because these are two similar questions, but they're getting at slightly different metrics, right? Because maybe you read one book in the past year, but it's, War and Peace or whatever. So you read maybe a little bit a day, but you end up reading, 1 to 5 books in the past year. Thinking about this in terms of one of my favorite lenses at which to look at conditions through are how many of those are there. But if you read maybe like 20 plus books in a year, that is a sufficient but not necessary condition for reading a lot. And maybe your readings of your books are very scattered, right? So perhaps you don't read every day. Maybe you read a few times per month, but you read in very large bouts when you do that. Like maybe you have a dedicated day for reading. So yeah, these are all they're all different questions to get at. Yeah, they all are getting at different things, if that makes sense. So my point in saying this is that I think it's meaningful to have these as distinguished questions. How frequently do you read, say, books for pleasure? So I'd say daily, a few times per week, which would be, not daily. I think, yeah, that's how I'd probably describe like my proclivity towards reading. And then a few times per month. I fear this is too big of a gap between those two, but we'll flag that. Let me actually put this first, because then I want to ask, how frequently do you read books for pleasure? So daily, a few times per week, a few times per month, a few times per year, right? Is there like an intermediate stage? Maybe you read like once a month, a few times per season. I think we need like I don't know, we'll come back to that. When you do read for pleasure, how long do you typically spend reading? This is, I think, a really interesting question. Because I think about this all the time, because I also really like watching movies. I've been trying to watch more movies. I just watched Dog Day Afternoon. I had the best experience watching Dog Day Afternoon because I was on a flight back from New York, and one of the older flight attendants, he was a man, probably older than 60, and he, walked by me, and he says like, "Oh, that's when he was really young," and of course he's, oh my god, I'm totally blanking. Um, Not De Niro, Al Pacino. That's when Al Pacino was, wow, Jesus. That's when Al Pacino was really young. And Dog Day Afternoon is great. It's done by Sidney Lumet. I'm looking at my Letterboxd review for that right now. Dog Day Afternoon is great. It's Sidney Lumet, who did 12 Angry Men, which was excellent. And I really enjoyed that. There's a bunch of other movies. I've seen After Sun this year. That was great. I saw Do the Right Thing. That was incredible. It's by Spike Lee. Before Sunset is great. I saw a bunch of Don Hertzfeldt short films at the Alamo Drafthouse recently. Anyways, point is, I mentioned this because it's usually a little odd to like watch a movie and then have time be part of the medium, right? That is to say, I'm totally scatterbrained right now. It's a little odd to watch a movie and pause like halfway through and then come back, or like watch it in like maybe installments of 10 or something like that. But with books, that's fine. You can chunk this up however you want, like however much it works for you. And it's because, I suppose, time is in some way inherent to the medium of a film. Well, that's not the case with a book or something like that. I watched an excellent movie earlier this year called Stalker. I would not recommend it to anyone ever because there's these like long, like 3-minute shots. It's a Russian film. There's these long, like 3-minute shots of just people riding on a train, or like the backs of people, or people walking around in like this kind of like in the zone they're in. And it was excellent. It was really good. But in the moment, I wasn't even, well, bored isn't really the right word, but I was kind of like, seriously, like what's going on here? And I don't know. Thinking how time is imbued into a piece of art, I think, is really interesting. So, anyways, I can chunk up. I usually read for maybe like an hour at a time. I'd make a promise to myself, which is that like if I'm gonna read, I'm not gonna sit down for like 10 minutes and then call it, because then I feel like it's just gonna feels like there's so much I have to do. Yeah, I feel like I have to spend some time with a book to get through it, and then I feel like I make progress in something. So, how long? When you do read for pleasure, how long do you typically spend reading? And maybe I could say under 30 minutes, 30 to 60 minutes, 60 plus minutes, and then I do not read for pleasure. This seems like, let's say 60 to 120 minutes, and then 120 plus minutes. Delete that. I don't like the wording of that question, but I'll get back to that in a second. Nonfiction. Should there be a period here? I guess it doesn't really matter. It is a sentence. Do you generally prefer? More often read I'm thinking about including an other option, but I can't think of an other besides poetry. And it would be kind of funny if it was like fiction, nonfiction, poetry. Magazine, that doesn't really count. All right, let's just stick there. And I feel like people can, this is to get a general sentiment. This is a free response question. I think this is super valuable to ask. Ooh, what about like, is the Bible nonfiction? Is the Bible considered fiction or nonfiction? Serious? It would be very funny if I included an other option and it was just other poetry, religious texts. Nonfiction just means not a novel or book of short stories. Poetry, philosophy. There we go. Okay, perfect. Look at that. We have our answer. That's super fun. Okay. Free. This is a free. Is that what they're called? Open-ended question. The thinking here is, maybe there is something that can be gained about from this. I know if you go into one of the library catalogs I was looking at the other day, and they have like the Lexile score, which I remember from being a child and looking up the Lexile score of stuff. I didn't know they still use that like as an adult, and so maybe you could do something with the Lexile score of someone's favorite book. I don't know. But I think that's a valuable question. So do you prefer reading on digital devices, or you don't really read on physical books? Do you prefer reading physical books or on digital devices? All right, cool. What are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we got 2 more, 9 and 10. I think I should add at least 1 more in this kind of like identity section. Is it too casual to say pre-med? I guess it's pre-medical. Hmm. Do you work a job alongside classes? I'm still thinking through this. Oh, we can also look through the good survey question criterias. Oh, I'm gonna have to go through and find this now. There's survey design, so it's probably in here. Here we go. Clear and simple language, mutually exclusive answer choices, exhaustive answer choices, once a week instead of sometimes. Use caution when asking about sensitive subjects. Avoid leading questions. Cool. How many books have you read in the past year for pleasure? I don't like the wording of that. How many books have you read for pleasure in the past year, i.e. not for a college course or job? Makes sense. How frequently do you read books for pleasure? How long do you typically spend reading? $30, 30 to 60 minutes. Maybe instead of saying when, I should say like if. I think I should focus more on these questions because that will, I guess I should be driven by hypothesis, if that makes sense, which is, um, yeah, I should be driven by hypothesis, which is, it has to do with availability of free time. Because I think that's a good thing to test, right? Because on the one hand, if you're maybe pre med, um, you're not going to have as much free time. But on the other hand, perhaps you have a proclivity towards uh, reading, towards more rigorous work. I'm not sure. Um, I feel like a gender breakdown would be really interesting too, because I don't think it's that different. My guess is it's similar. I don't know. I guess that's what this would test. Um, Maybe I could ask a question about. Let me ask at least one more question about workload, and maybe that looks like club involvement is what I'm thinking. How many hours per week on clubs? Ooh, clubs. Wash you. That's on. Oh, because we need some cause. Um, or maybe like what is something like or what about